Hi, fellow bookworms. Here I am in this boat that my son and I built. More replicas behind me because on a summer day, you can get outside only so much, right? Sometimes you want to build things, use your imagination, and go wild. So I'm in the hull of the Titanic, and I hope you like. And I have an engineering story for us today for your fellow bookworms and fellow builders. This is called Rosie Revere, Engineer. Captain, you can stop the boat now. Rosie Revere, Engineer, by Andrea Beaty. Illustrations by David Roberts. Okay. Let's see. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her highway under the eaves. So you could use lots of recycled materials to build new things, just like Rosie, and just like me and Christian. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under their bed, where they'd never be seen. Can you move the camera a little closer? When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye, and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser, and helium pants. Helium pants! You see that? See if I can fly away. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head, from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. Of course. That's quite a hat. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. Great words. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, kept her dreams to herself. Oh, no. I don't think he's really laughing at her. He just thinks it's so funny that she gave it such a great try. It made him chuckle. He wasn't trying to be mean, but it hurt her feelings anyway. And that's how it went until one autumn day. Wow. Autumn's another fancy word for fall, right? Her oldest relation showed up first day. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done. Sorry, let me start that over. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. See, when she was younger, she worked on planes. Anyone can do anything they want if they really try hard and not give up. And now she's older, and it's the one thing she hasn't done is learn how to fly. She built lots of things, worked on lots of things, and had great adventures, but that's just one she didn't get to yet. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, right, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, no. Not I. But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached, and the red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She's thinking, and now she's going to try to build. She worked and she worked till half the day was gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. There's her cheese copter, and she's pulling it out to the lawn to give it a test run. Think it'll work? Uh-oh. See, this is so funny. These words go round and round the page. So, go round and round. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Oh my. Oh man. Inventions don't always work the first time or the first 50 times. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer. Oh man. Again, just like Uncle Fred, was she laughing at her? Not really. We grown-ups do that sometimes because we think you're so cute at trying so hard. She turned around to leave, but then Great-Great-Aunt Rose, there she is, grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed, a little confused. I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said her great aunt. It crashed. That is true. But first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. That's true. She didn't really think about that. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy. On to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. Back to the drawing board to try again. Persevere and not give up. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. Whoa, look at that copter. Cool. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. Look at all them going. The end. New cheese copter again. And young Rosie with her headscarf. Very cool. So, what can you build or engineer today or tomorrow? See what happens. But whatever happens, don't give up. Try. If it fails the first time, try again. Try something different, right? If you do it the same way again and again, it might keep failing. But think about what worked, think about what didn't work, change the didn't work part, and then see how it goes, right? And then, no matter what, even if it doesn't work, remember that you had a good time trying. Bye, guys.